factor x to the 8th minus 16. Let's look at our polynomial here, x to the 8th minus 16. Even though it might not seem quite as obvious as it often has been, x to the 8th is a perfect square. If we think about what we can multiply by itself to get x to the 8th, that would be x to the 4th. Because x to the 4th times x to the 4th gives us x to the 8th, or x to the 4th squared gives us x to the 8th, based on those rules of exponents. So that x to the 8th is a perfect square. 16 is also a perfect square. 16 is 4 squared. So we can use the formula for the difference of squares to factor this. We end up getting x to the 4th plus 4 times x to the 4th minus 4. But we're not finished at this point. If we look at what we have, x to the 4th plus 4 and x to the 4th minus 4, the second factor, x to the 4th minus 4, is also a difference of two squares. So that can be broken down even further. This is a difference of squares. The first factor is not a difference of squares. The first factor is actually a sum of squares because of the plus sign there. And there is not a formula for factoring a sum of two squares. There might be a GCF that we could pull out in some circumstances, which there isn't here. And there are some other special scenarios where we might be able to factor a sum of squares. Those are things that you'll learn about later. But in general, a regular sum of two squares, there's not a formula to factor that. So this first factor is not going to break down any further. But because the second factor is a difference of squares, that one will break down. So when we break things down, we're going to keep that x to the 4th plus 4 out front. That's not going anywhere. But now if we look at the second factor, x to the 4th minus 4, x to the 4th is x squared squared, and 4 is 2 squared. So we can use the formula for factoring a difference of two squares to break that down even further. We end up with x squared plus 2 times x squared minus 2. Now, you might be looking at that last factor and asking yourself if it'll break down any more. X squared is a perfect square. It's x squared. But 2 is not a perfect square. So because that's not a difference of two squares, it can't be broken down any further. And then this is our final answer. X to the 4th plus 4 times x squared plus 2 times x squared minus 2.